Am I the asshole for telling a woman that we could not give her a smaller horse because of her weight? Before I start, I wanna say that I in absolutely no way agree with fat shaming. All bodies are beautiful. For context, I, F16, work at a stable. It's mainly a learning barn that offers riding lessons and week-long camps for kids to come in and learn all about riding and horse care. As well, we offer trail rides for customers to come in and be lead on an hour or half-hour ride down a really nice trail. The situation mentioned above happened this past summer when I was the trail leader. We have few COVID cases, so we were allowed to run camps, lessons and rides. We had a family come in to do an hour trail ride, mom, dad and kid. The mom was extremely overweight, and anyone who knows anything about horses will know that a horse is not supposed to carry more than 20% of their body weight. We have 2 full-breed Percherons, 2 Clydesdale Percheron cross horses, 2 Highland ponies, and the rest are quarter horses QH. The Clydes Perch are the biggest horses we have available for customer riding and the only horses that would be are able to put her on without the risk of causing harm to the horses. After we get all the necessary paperwork done for them to ride, some of the camp kids that week start to help me bring out helmets and horses for the family. We put the kid on one of our small paint QH, and we put the dad on another one of our QH. Finally it's to put the mother on her horse, and we bring out the biggest Perch Clydes we have, and she asked if she could have a smaller horse, so we brought out the smaller Clydes Perch, and then she turned to her son's horse and requested one of the same size. His horse was so small that it just barely passed the size requirements to be considered a horse instead of a pony. When she said this, I took her aside and explained as politely as I could why I would not be able to do that. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, "I'm so sorry, but I really can't do that because a horse of that size would be too small for you. A horse is only supposed to carry 20% of their body weight, and any more than that could lead to serious back, leg and shoulder injuries, and it also leaves them with a higher chance to colic if they drink because the extra work would make them super hot." This woman's face became extremely angry upon hearing this, but she never said anything to me, and she got on the horse and we went for a ride. I didn't think much more of it until we got back, and when her husband came to pay for the ride, he confronted me about how rude it was to say that to a paying customer, called me fatphobic, I'm not, and told me that I should have done what she asked because only 1 hour wouldn't hurt the horse too bad. I told him exactly what I told her about the possible injuries, and he called me an asshole and said his wife was more important than the stupid horse, so I told him to fuck off. I do feel bad for having to deny the women and for telling the man to fuck off, but I believe the horse's health is way more important, so am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Not even a debate. And good for you for telling the husband to fuck off. I hope they don't own animals. Not the asshole. They would rather be cruel to animals than have their feelings threatened. Screw that. Not the asshole, but maybe it would be a good idea to develop some kind of innocuous response you could use before referring to weight directly, since that is a sensitive subject for a lot of people. Something like, we pick our horses according to a variety of factors such as physical capacity and personality. We are sure you will get along great with Perch, which is a lovely calm horse for beginners. Or something like this, which basically redirects them to the horse they have. Not the asshole. There's a difference between fat shaming and safety measures. You didn't shame her in front of everyone, you took her aside and kindly explained the problem. NTA, that would be animal cruelty if you didn't. She's just too sensitive. Good job though. You seem like a great employee. Not the asshole. I'm overweight and I'd want you to point that out if I was that naive. You can't risk the horse's health just because she'd rather be on a smaller horse. She and her husband were behaving ridiculously. You behaved responsibly and fairly to the horse and the woman. Yes, it's embarrassing to hear you're so fat you need to ride a bigger horse, but I'd be humiliated and guilty if I maimed an animal for my vanity. Read this, it might make you feel better for advocating for the horses. Not the asshole at all. These horses cannot speak up for themselves, and so you're there to do it for them. You didn't embarrass or shame her, you pulled her aside to tell her a fact. FFS. Not the asshole. Hurting a woman's feelings is far better than damaging the horse's body. And you're a better person than I am. I wouldn't have pulled the woman aside for that conversation, but instead had it in front of her kid. Not the asshole. Horses are worth thousands of dollars, and that's before you factor in proper care, feeding, and training. I would not pay 10 cents to spend a moment with that woman or her jerk of a husband. When I became too heavy to ride horses safely, it broke my heart, but I never once considered putting their health at risk for my own pleasure. That's not fatophobia, that's just good horse sense. Personally, I think not the asshole. Horses are living creatures and they have limits. It's better to hurt someone's feelings than to injure a creature. As long as you didn't say bitch you can't ride the horse cause you a fucking whale. NTA. Living in reality is not the same thing as being phobic of something. Telling a blind person they can't drive isn't blindphobic. Telling an overweight person they need to ride a horse that won't be injured by them isn't fatphobic. Most obese people would acknowledge that. I think her getting offended is ridiculous. Sure, she might have been a bit embarrassed, but that isn't your fault. Not the asshole. This is insane. Causing serious injury to a defenseless animal because she can't deal with facts as they hurt her fifis? I'm a 365 pounds person and I would in no way be upset about the way you told her to be honest. I call ahead for stuff like this to make sure my weight will not be an issue. Appropriate accommodations can be made to prevent harm to the animal, damage to whatever equipment I will be using, and to avoid an embarrassing situation where I can't do something with a group. I feel like I've read a variation of this story here before. Yes, you're an asshole. You should have let her harm a horse. Not the asshole. If there are rules to protect the animal's health, you have to enforce them. I see more and more of these posts on Am I the Asshole where the person is so obviously not the asshole I think they are just posting for approval or karma. Like, it's fine to start a conversation about your crazy story, but that's not the point of this sub. Maybe this woman wasn't 100% sure she was not the asshole, but come on, it's pretty clear she isn't. Half the posts here are along the lines of, I stopped my friend from stealing my baby, am I the asshole? Or something equally ridiculous where of course they're not the asshole. Please use this sub for genuinely questionable moral stories. Definitely not the asshole. How rude of that man to come up and say anything to you. You have nothing to worry about. You were way nicer to that man than I would have been. Tears of joy. Yeah, no. Not the asshole. Accepting all bodies does not mean they are all equal. That was a safety hazard for the horse, a very serious one. I can't even begin to express how self-centered and evil those people were for thinking their fun was more important than the health of the horse. I'm sure she wouldn't want to carry a person more than 20% her body weight either. Don't feel an ounce of regret for that. You did what you had to do. And what? A bigger horse prevented her from having fun. She still got to go, didn't she? What a joke. Not even a little bit. You were concerned about the safety of your animals, which in my opinion is much more important than her feelings getting hurt. You didn't refuse her service, you accommodated her in the best interests of both her and the horse. If she was renting a bike, would she seriously request a tricycle? Man shrugging. Not the asshole. I don't even like horses and I'm a big jeer person, and that wasn't out of line at all. Your job and the horse's well-being was on the line. Screw her feelings. And I would have done the same thing. I am a bigger person who rides. The horse I use is a taller gelding and I know I am on a 17-hand guy because I'm too big for the others. Not the asshole. If she wants to ride, the horse must be comfortable too. You pulled her aside to state that she couldn't ride a smaller horse. You didn't bring it up in front of a lot of people. You have guidelines you have to follow, and if you put her on a smaller horse it would not have been good at all for the horse. When I was 17 I went to a roller coaster park and was waiting in line for a ride. The guy operating the ride had 2 more spots, so my sis and I say we will go. In front of everyone he told me I was too fat for the ride. I understood about the weight limits, don't get me wrong, there was just a better way to go about it than embarrassing in front of the whole line. Wait, haven't I read this before? Welcome to Am I the Asshole? Please view our voting guide here, and remember to use only one judgment in your comment. Help keep the sub engaging. Hashtag Dawn. Downvote assholes. Do upvote interesting posts. Click here for our rules, and click here for our FAQ. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit message compose to equals r Amy the asshole if you have any questions or concerns. Not the asshole, and I also believe all bodies are beautiful. We all have every right to have whatever type of body we choose without judgment. However, nothing you did was fat-phobic or fat-shameful, and it honestly seems like this lady knew exactly what she was doing when she repeatedly asked for smaller horses, and should have reasonably been able to figure out why hers was larger. First of all, you don't have to say, all bodies are beautiful, they're not, and that's okay. We should be judged on how we look. Not the asshole. If you're too fat to ride a horse, that's the end of it. You were polite and did your job while protecting the animals. And if anyone wants to come for me, I'm 200 plus lbs. Not the asshole. Also, I would love to ride a Clydesdale Percheron cross. Riding a giant horse is like riding a couch. Not the asshole. She and her husband need to recognize reality. The smaller horse would have been under duress and injured if she went on it. You didn't do anything wrong. They deserved that. Fuck off. 2 for accusing you of discrimination and for showing total apathy towards the horse's health. Anyone who thinks that saying, I'm a paying customer, means all of their inappropriate and ridiculous demands have to be catered to is always going to be an arsehole. You did exactly what you are paid to do. When it comes to a horse's safety against somebody's feelings, as humiliating as it might be for her, you have to prioritize the horse. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Her feelings are not more important than the horse's health. Not the asshole. You saved a horse from being crushed by a whale and educated ignorant cretins, all while keeping a leveled head and a professional approach. Congratulations on your impeccable handling of the situation. P.S. Not that it's any of my business, but is there a point in the subscription process before actually riding the horse where the weight restrictions rules are explained? 'Cause it seems to me, this would nip the problem in the bud, at least in most occasions. Then again, how often does someone lack common sense to this point? Not the asshole. This sounds like the type of woman who wouldn't pass the weight requirements on a water park ride, and then would complain to the manager about it. Not the asshole. I also work with horses. I fully agree with what you did and you were polite about it to her. I understand it is an awkward conversation to have, but you are simply putting the horse's need first, and that is what you should do. Good job. I am a fat person who desperately wants to be able to ride but weighs too much for most horses, so I understand better than most people how this lady felt. You are not the asshole. You were right not to let her ride the horse, and you were right to explain why. I have never once felt anything other than patronized when someone danced around my weight. You weren't doing her any favors by not explaining. I also don't think you were in the wrong to tell the husband to fuck off, although your boss probably disagrees, because I don't think anyone who doesn't value an animal's health deserves courtesy. Not the asshole. I'm a large person and I wouldn't even fathom pushing the issue because the horse's safety and well-being are more important than what I want. I would commend you for discreetly explaining and being a good animal caretaker, even if there are internal feelings of shame or embarrassment. Not the asshole, but it would have probably been better to put both adults on larger horses so they wouldn't question why only the mom was being singled out. So not the asshole. Yard manager here, and let me tell you the number of times I had clients like that get pissy over not being able to ride horses they weren't able to, whether it be due to weight or experience, was astounding. If you have dramas like that again, make it clear to them that the horse's health and well-being is your first priority. Not the asshole, but next time just give the adults a big horse. People hate it to be singled out, and then you can say, oh no, these horses are better suited for adults. Not the asshole. You're responsive for the well-being of the animals and you were polite and discreet about the issue. NTA. I'm bigger and did horse camps as a kid. I'm barely past the beginner level though and don't know much about the basic care of horses. I'm big enough to generally get put on the largest horse a stable has. And have been in a situation before where a stable worker pulled me aside to explain why. They wanted to see if I had enough experience for the correct horse, and he ended up explaining why he was asking. It was NBD. It would have been NBD if I had been too inexperienced for any of the horses that could safely carry me. I hate it when people treat animals like their well-being doesn't matter. Not the asshole. 1 hour wouldn't hurt the horse, too bad. So hurting the horse a little is fine? Maybe give the kids spurs? Kids will have fun, and it's only a little bit of blood. Not the asshole. Also riding a Clydesdale or Percheron would be awesome and I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to. Tell them facts, don't care about their feelings. Not the asshole. The last place I went trail riding, Bryce Canyon, had a strict 200 pounds weight limit for guests, and they made you get on the scale before they let guests out to the stables. It felt invasive, though I was well below the limit. However, when I saw the terrain, I was really glad they were very strict. It's absolutely a safety issue for guests and the horses. Not the asshole. You did the right thing protecting the animal. Not the asshole. Honestly, I'd love to ride a Clydesdale if I wasn't afraid of falling off again. Not the asshole, but in my opinion 20% of the horse's weight is still too high. In the UK it's 10%. Although well-muscled horses with an adept rider can take larger loads, it's a good rule of thumb to apply to riding school horses who frequently encounter novice riders. Not the asshole. I guess you were being politically incorrect for pointing out the obvious. The horse is non-PC too, for having the nerve to be too small. Sarcasm aside, why should you allow the horse's health to be compromised for one entitled at $? Not the asshole. The physical well-being of service animals is more important than customers' egos. FTR, women, is plural. If you're commenting on one customer's behavior, then you're talking about a singular woman.